journey.
All right.
Oh, here we are.
Here we go.
Good morning, and welcome to the original Loretta Brown Show, radio to open the heart, heal the soul, and awaken the consciousness. Benny, it's a little bit gray out there. I've got a little fog in my throat.
That's okay. Just push it away with your good vibes. Push it away.
Oh, I'll just do a little tone. Oh, there we go.
Still working already.
Yeah, we'll work it. Anyway, I am the owner of Reiki Oasis, located right here in the greater Seattle area for the last 26 years. And we are up and running and exciting stuff. There's always good things going on. This coming Saturday, which is the day after tomorrow, which is May 22nd, I have my monthly class for women called Temple of the Divine Feminine. And we're doing it via Zoom, and we're having a wonderful time. It's kind of a check-in, a monthly check-in for women, kind of a support thing. And we share a lot from our hearts. It's fun. Sometimes we cry, we laugh, and please join us if you'd like to be a part of that. Anybody can come in. You can sign up for everything at schedule.reikioasis.com and do check it out. Like I say, if you want to get into a little support group, it's good. Also, every Sunday at 11 a.m., I have a Sunday meditation with Loretta, and it's really just to help you reset yourself, come into a centered place and, I don't know, lean back, relax, let the energy come. And once again, it's just kind of a reset, a place to check in. It is 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you cannot join us at that time, sign up, and I will send you a recording of the meditation. And you can listen to it anytime that you want. And then I also have a Reiki 1 class coming up Saturday, June 5th. And if you're interested in learning the wonderful, gentle art of Reiki, sign up. We are going to be able to meet in person in a very limited number, and we will be socially distancing and doing all of the right stuff. So I only can take 5 people instead of 30. So that's how that goes. And if you want to be a part of it, don't hesitate, sign up now. And then a big shout out, I am a listener supported show, to my patrons. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, whether it's $1 or whatever, it is greatly appreciated. It helps keep us on the air. You can go to patreon.com/The Loretta Brown Show and become a part of our group. Now, I'm going to do a little astrology check-in, but I'm not going to take a whole lot of time because I've got a great guest and I can't wait to get her on the show. We have so many wonderful things to talk about and it's very timely. So today is May 20 and we're entering Gemini season for all my Gemini friends out there. And Gemini season is going to bring 3 retrogrades. And retrogrades are just planets looking like they're going backwards in the sky, but they don't actually go backwards, just letting you know. They just look like it. And anytime there's a retrograde, it's an opportunity to revisit something. So don't give retrograde such a bad name. You know, we like to move forward, but we like to pause and go, what about that thing? Maybe I didn't quite get that done, right? So 3 retrogrades are going to be coming up. And we also have a super blood moon eclipse. Sounds scary, but it's going to be good. It's a solar eclipse. And we have the second of 3 Saturn Uranus squares, which are really kind of overriding the year, and they're very powerful. So Saturn is that planet of kind of restriction, and Uranus wants to break free. And so there's this clanging of the planets. They're just like, are we gonna be all boxed up, or are we gonna break free? What are we gonna do? Right? So there's that tension. I think it's a really great tension, especially coming out of this past year. Everybody's like horses in the, like, come on, let us out. We're ready to race now, you know? And then some of them are like, I forgot how to race. What do I do now? Right? So good energies. Gemini is represented by the twins. One twin is mortal and the other is immortal. And it is this dual perspective that we can all harness during Gemini season. We can keep our mind focused on the here and the now and the everyday life we lead, but we can also allow our mind to expand into higher realms and tap into a wisdom that is not from this world. The eclipse energy that is an offer to us throughout the season serves as a bridge, guiding us from one state of consciousness to the next. This could bring some opportunities for spiritual growth and to level up on our soul mission, which always manifests itself in our external world. The internal world and the external have a tendency to mirror each other. So stay closely connected to your inner world, because it's going to be guiding you very strongly right now. Today, like I said, the sun enters Gemini, which also coincides with the peak of the Pleiades portal. The Pleiades is a star system out there, right? A lot of people believe that the Pleiades is home to an advanced race of beings who many people say they are bringing us wisdom. And whether you believe that or not, I always take advantage of these things to open myself up to my own higher wisdom, my higher guidance, my higher self. On Sunday, May 23rd, Saturn enters its annual retrograde and encourages us to revisit events that began in September of 2020. What was going on back then? And reflect on the decisions we have made and what we need to take responsibility for. Saturn retrograde is a time of practicing patience and taking ownership in our actions. I don't want to be an adult today, Loretta. What are you telling me? So if you have things to resolve, be patient. You might find Saturn retrograde brings more information to the surface. And then, like I said, we're heading into a super blood full moon eclipse in Sagittarius. That happens May 26th, next Wednesday. It's both a super moon and a total lunar eclipse. What? A super moon, meaning it's close to the Earth, a total lunar eclipse, which is an eclipse of the moon. And it's going to be a strong energy. So whenever we have a total lunar eclipse, the moon develops a reddish hue, which is why it's referred to as a blood moon. And total lunar eclipses are a time of great change and transformation. They're a great time to look in, right? What's going on in there. So we might feel ourselves moving through a symbolic process of death and rebirth, or we may find sudden changes taking place that we have to adapt and grow with. And as the eclipse falls in Sagittarius, we might find new wisdom, yay, or even secrets coming to the surface. Be careful of those, but some of them might be good, right? Like the treasure, right? Calling the treasure that requires us to evolve or change our approach. And even though this eclipse energy can be intense and definitely stir our deeper, darker emotions, there's also gentle and supportive energy flowing in. So powerful things coming up. I always kind of think of Gemini as, that is the twins and the light and the dark. And it's a good time to kind of look inside, especially about your thoughts, because it's an air sign. So many of you out there have expressed to me that you're having a restlessness or a desire to do something different. A lot of people are what I call migrating, moving out of the area, moving to other areas. And we always have lots of people coming into the greater Seattle area. But there's been something going on this year. It's a kind of a calling of the heart. And so I think it's very timely for my guest. My guest this week is Sibyl Chavis. She's the Chief Business Officer of Sounds True's Business to Consumer Division and a board member of the Sounds True Foundation. And like many people, Sibyl worked overtime to create the good life. After a successful career as a lawyer in a large Atlanta firm, and then as a VP of one of the top multicultural advertising agencies, Sibyl caught her breath and jumped. And she left her dream job behind to pursue a life of greater clarity and purpose. And today we're going to talk about that decision, where it has led her, and what she's doing now. Welcome to the show, Sibyl. It's great to have you.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for that introduction.
Yeah, you come riding right in on the astrological energy today. I see it.
Is that right? Okay, good, good. You can continue to guide me. I love that energy. It's helpful.
You know, I was taking a look at your life story, and there's just so much in there, and it's like I want to lay some foundation for the listeners so that they kind of know who you are. So
Mhm.
you, yeah, you went through all of this to get into this law firm and have a dream job. First of all, tell us what led you to get into that. And then, of course, we're going to talk about that leap of faith, courage, or insanity.
Right? All or
Right?
all three, right?
It could be. I think it's all three.
Right.
But tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you end up going to law school?
It's so interesting because from the time I was 7, I wanted to be a lawyer. And I don't know why. I watched People's Court. I don't know, too much television. I just always had in my mind, I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be a lawyer. And then I just, really buckled down, studied, worked hard. I was just driven toward that. And then I got to being a lawyer and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm really meant to be a lawyer. And that was the daunting first feeling I had within, that something was a little off.
What made you question it?
I just felt at the law firm, I felt like a fish out of water.
Yeah.
I mean, and I admire lawyers. I work with many lawyers even to this day. I've learned so much from being a lawyer. It just wasn't for me. But I could see how in many ways, a lot of the skills, the analytical skills, just the perseverance, working hard, helping people, helping your clients, solving problems. There were parts of it that I really, really resonated with. It was just the way that it was, the container it was in wasn't my container.
I think that's very well said. And, you were a lawyer for like 20 years or something. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a long time to be a fish out of water.
It is. It is. I mean, in many ways, I still practice a little bit of law just in my role and what I do at Sounds True. But, 90% of my time, I'm just doing stuff that is totally has nothing to do with the law or anything that I learned in school.
So tell us a little bit about what happened when you decided to leave that dream job, because my experience with people and even myself is that it gets to this point of, I can't do this anymore. All right. So can you tell us about that and what happened?
No, it definitely did. And in addition to just feeling like something was off, I had this uncertainty and curiosity. And I had been deep, on the spiritual journey, if you will. And I've been reading all these spiritual texts and just really trying to do a lot of self-reflection. And at the time too, my husband, who also was an attorney, we met in law school, he was going through that same inquiry, and it's like, there's just something is missing. And it was so hard to put our fingers on, but we both knew that there was something off. And so it was first just began with this feeling that we both shared. And then I started getting signs because I had so much fear, everything I had been trained to do. I paid off my student loans. We built these big careers. I had family responsibilities. Like I had done everything that I was told I was supposed to do, but I didn't feel like I thought I was supposed to feel. And so in addition to that feeling, I also just could see signs popping up around me, little signs, big signs that, I'm going to have to change something about this experience.
I'm really, number one, I'm really relating to what you're saying. And I know that the listeners are too. Here you've done this amazing thing, really, right? Like law school is not easy and practicing law is not for the faint of heart, shall we say. And I find it curious that both you and your husband were coming to this point pretty much at the same time, where you're feeling maybe a little bit hollow or you're doing all of this stuff, you're getting up and you're going through it, but at the end of the day, something is missing. You probably, in your life now have kind of figured out what that was missing.
Sure.
But we'll get to that in a minute. I want to pause for a moment because you said signs started to come.
Mm-hmm.
Like big signs on the wall?
Like silly big signs on the wall. And yeah, I mean, so that's the first. And like you said, my husband and I were going through this inquiry at the same time, which was actually good because we could support each other because there's so much uncertainty. And you're like, am I crazy? Is this like, what is going on? But the fact that we shared this same hollowness, as you said, was something that we knew, okay, this isn't just me. And so we were able to talk each other through it and explore it and try to figure out what we were going to do. And my husband was committed. Like, he's like, we just have to do something else. I'll never forget. We're sitting on the couch one night. He's like, we know there's something off. Like, we're responsible. We have these savings. Like, we just have to do it. We've got to quit our jobs. I was like, Rob, this is crazy. Like, who does this? Like, we're lawyers. Like, we're risk averse. Remember, by trade, by design. I can't do it. And so I'm like, I know we've been talking about it, but I just can't do it. So that's the first sign. The second sign, though, is shortly thereafter. I go on a business trip. Mm-hmm. And I could have stayed at any hotel, anywhere in the world. I mean, anywhere in Chicago, I should say. I was on a business trip to Chicago. And I just chose one randomly. I'm on a business trip. So I'm like, I'm only here for a couple of days. But I have all this indecision. Like, do I quit my job? Do I stay? Is this time to take a leap of faith? What is a leap of faith? How does one take a leap of faith? I don't know. I have so much uncertainty. I walk into my hotel room and there is a huge sign, Loretta, a literal huge sign that says life is about creating yourself. And I'm like, the universe is like, look, this girl is not getting it. So I am going to put a huge sign like right in front of her. And I knew, it wasn't even about really what the sign said. It was how I felt, that inner wisdom that you were touching on. I could just feel it. It rose to the surface and it overshadowed it made all the fears small for a couple moments, but enough moments to have clarity. And I just cried. I was in that hotel room on the edge of my bed looking at that sign and I was crying because I knew. I thought, I have to quit my job. It's one thing to read all these great books about taking leaps of faith and all the spirituality about sitting in uncertainty and wisdom flowing from there. And it's another thing to actually believe it and live it.
Yeah.
And I came home from that trip and Rob and I quit our jobs on the same day.
It's you guys are crazy.
I know.
We talk a lot about like you say, it's woven into the language, a leap of faith, right? A leap of faith. But I was talking to somebody recently about faith, or in my Vedic chanting practice, we call it Shraddha, which is a little bit indefinable, but it's this, like the sun rising every day is faith, right? The moon coming up, right? The stars, right? So this like blind faith, okay, we're gonna jump off this cliff and hopefully we've got a parachute or something, right?
Right.
And that's just, to me, it's astronomical. And especially that you both did it at the same time and you said, okay, we're just going to pull the plug and do this. When you both quit your jobs, did you have any idea what you were going to be doing?
Well, Rob wanted to be a TV and film writer. And so he was just, we need to move to Southern California. That was basically, okay, take it one step at a time. And he started writing and just really trying to break into a whole new network of people. And I knew that I wanted to work in the social good space or the spiritual industry and wanted to bring all of the great things that I learned in corporate America and bring them to like social good space to serve. I wanted to serve, and I wanted to use everything that I had been building to do that.
Yeah.
So those were my cues. I like to say I had like a picture frame, and there were things that were outlined. And I knew that I just had to sit in uncertainty, use my wisdom, really start strengthening my ability to do that, and more answers would come.
This was at least 10 years ago that this happened. When did
Yes, yeah, it's been 10 years now.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, isn't it? Yeah.
It really is until you said that, but yes, it's been 10 years.
This call to serve, I hear that, like my ears picked up when you said it. My listeners are all kind of tuned into, different frequencies and wavelengths, but we've talked a lot about the age of Aquarius, and we're in it. And the difference of this time that we're in is that we are all being called to serve, and it's coming from our intuitive heart. Like we were born with some sort of a internal guidance system, and now it's activating in all of us. And many people are finding that what they are doing, like someone said to me yesterday, she said, Loretta, I just get up and I go to work and I come home and my life is good, but it's just hollow. Like,
right.
Is this all there is? Right. And if this isn't all there is, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, I don't even know. So that ability of yours to sit in the uncertainty is remarkable, and let it come. Right.
Well, I mean, I thank you for that. And as I'm sure you know, it was really, really hard. It was one of the hardest, best practices of my life that I continue to do. And I feel like I've gotten better and better at sitting in the uncertainty, and just want to acknowledge, how much fear I had. So I never, like when I'm speaking to folks, I don't ever want it to be misunderstood that I was just like fearless and sitting in uncertainty. And no, I was scared. And sitting in uncertainty. And, we had just moved to Southern California, and I was so used to like the shortcuts of my label. Oh, I'm civil. I'm a lawyer. I do, I work here. I do that. This is what I do with my life. And when I had shaken all of that up and had decided I'm going to figure this out one step at a time,
right,
and sit in uncertainty, I didn't have an answer to like basic questions that people would ask me. And that was daunting. Like, what do you do? I sit in uncertainty. And so every moment of the day was a possibility to practice. And it was my choice. Am I going to practice? Am I going to choose to sit in this fear and this uncertainty and see if I can reconcile it and find some wisdom in it and work through it and release whatever is within me that's trying to release so I can deepen into my strength? Right. Or am I just going to freak out? And there were some moments where I would just freak out, but I had more moments of the day where I chose to sit and overcome the fear.
I love what you said so much, because it's absolutely to the point, and it's at the absolute living level of life. Years ago, I left the corporate world and it became a woo-woo queen, right? And I still remember when people would say, "You're doing what? What are you doing? What is that?" Right? And also this redefinition of the self to where, we do in our have this way of saying, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm, this high-powered attorney or whatever the heck it is. And when you can't say that and people say, well, what are you doing? And like you say, I'm sitting in uncertainty. That's what I'm doing, right? Like people look at you like you're crazy. But I think that it really gives a person an opportunity to find out who they really are. Mm-hmm. And when you're guided from that different place, which I know you are, because you're doing what you're meant to do on planet Earth right now, it's real clear, because you radiate it, right? It's radiant. But I mean it. But I'm also being with where many people listening are, which is right at that point of change. When you told people that you and your husband quit your jobs.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean, especially like the people we were around were deep in corporate America and, not necessarily deep in spirituality. So, or just on different journeys, right, wrong, or indifferent, just at a different place. And so what we would say did not translate to the people, the majority of people around us. And I mean, luckily I had been, a student of Eckhart Tolle and really deep in his teachings and going to a lot of events and community, and actually had been a customer of Sounds True, where I work now. And so I had a little community that was emerging, if you will. And mostly I just had my inner guidance, and I just would sit in that. And I knew eventually I would figure something out.
I like what you said too, that practice is still a part of your practice.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I think it's one of the greatest lessons I learned, because I thought, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get through this patch of uncertainty, figure out how to serve and like use my corporate skills and do social good, like everything that I get to do. It Sounds True. With all the great authors and wisdom leaders and programs that we're doing, like it's just right at my sweet spot. But I didn't know that there was going to be more and more uncertainty to dive into. I thought I was letting go of uncertainty. And now I realized I was actually building this capacity to sit in it and to find wisdom from it, and to then make decisions, get stronger, work through, a lot. This has obviously been, like, I'm a Black woman. This has been a really challenging year, as all of the transformation has been going on with social justice and all of the issues, and just my friends and my community, and being able to sit in that uncertainty, as there's so much healing going there for my community, for myself. So this capacity of uncertainty has evaded all areas of my life in a way that, in all honesty, has deepened me into my connection with myself, my wisdom, the power that can flow from that can heal, that can help me figure out my next steps. It was much larger than I ever even thought when I quit my job that day.
What you're saying to me is so rich and deep, because many people, in my opinion, move too fast. They're running, right? I've got to run here and I've got to run there. And like you say, when we're scared, because we're talking about, sustainability of ourselves. Like when you quit your job, you're like, am I going to be okay? Well, are they going to come get the house? What, But when we sit in that, when we take a breath and we just exhale and we go, let me just get quiet, right? Let me get in there. Let me close my eyes. Let me just go in and let me be with, number one, how am I feeling? What is going on with me? And what is the ultimate truth here? What do I need to get from this quiet space? And it's
absolutely. And I had a child. I had a 5-year-old at the time when I quit my job. I was pregnant. I was 6 months pregnant. And so in addition to all the fear, there was the sense of responsibility that Rob and I had, because we're like, we've built this world for our children to live in, that they are very comfortable in life, and they didn't take on this risk. They don't have this feeling right now that we have, that there's something more. And so we want to protect that. And also protect what we know we're supposed to honor in ourselves that's emerging. And we had savings, but like you said, there's always the fear, like, are we going to run out of our savings? Are we going to burn through all of this? Are things going to shift and fall into place at the time we need? Are we going to rise to this occasion? And so it really was the whole balancing of all of that.
Yeah, I think it brings everything there. It brings self-sustainability. It brings the fear of failure, or many people say, what if this goes nowhere and I look foolish? And I'm like, so you look foolish. Okay. So come up with another plan, right?
Everything you said, I had all those thoughts. Yeah. I think the voice of the chief negativity officer. So like, you're taking me back. I'm like, yep, that went through my head. I feared that.
I love that. The chief negativity officer. Yeah.
Yes.
So-
I have just named that voice because then I don't confuse it with my voice of intuition and the feeling. I'm like, oh, that's just my chief negativity officer doing what it does. And that means something, it needs tending to, it needs to be told it's okay. Something needs to be healed. Like it's recognizing something, which is why it's going off right now. But I'm not supposed to believe what it's saying. I'm just supposed to help it work through my system and see what happens next.
I love that. So we're going to take a little station break. And this is Loretta Brown. My guest today is Sibyl Chavis, and she's from Sounds True. We're talking about all things wonderful and good and leap of faith. And who knows what we'll talk about when we come back from the break. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
All clear.
Thanks. We're still live on YouTube. I love this so much.
Yes.
I admire you greatly.
Well, right back at you.
My goodness, I totally understand at the depth of my soul that crazy leap of faith. And also, and you may have felt this, like I really felt before I quit all that and started this, that if I didn't do it, I was going to die. It was like my soul was shriveling.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
No, I felt like I was dying a little bit every day when I walked back into my office at work.
Yeah.
And I was not being true. And I don't think I could have done anything else but do what I did. Yeah. Because otherwise I was going to just die feel like I was dying a slow death.
Well, and I really relate to what you're saying too. I don't know if it's an integrity level, but it was like I could tell that my energy just wasn't going into it anymore. It was like, okay, I'm going through the motions. But even I myself was like, if I evaluate what I'm doing at work, I'm not at the top of my game here.
Right.
I'm sort of, and yeah.
Yeah. And I made the excuse. I'm like, okay, well, maybe work will be one experience. Like I can put it in its container. And that's just not where I get my joy or my passion or my inspiration. I'll go here, I'll be with my family, and I'll be inspired here and have fun here. And I'll go on vacations and we'll go out with friends. And then this is where I'll laugh and feel alive. And I can just feel like this at work. It is what it is. But even that wore off. It was just it was a fallacy.
It's weird because that actually, it can work. But when that pull comes from the
I
heart,
need to interrupt there, ladies. I got to bring you back.
Okay. Alrighty. We're ready.
Sunshine coming down.
Thank you for the sunshine, Benny. I love it. Thanks so much. Welcome back to the original Loretta Brown Show with my guest, Sibyl Chavis, and from Sounds True. And I love saying from Sounds True because it does sound true, doesn't it?
Me too.
It's a great name for a business. It's really, really great. So what is courage?
I mean, for me, I can speak from my perspective. Courage for me is knowing that it's okay if I feel one thing and I don't feel like taking that step, that I can find this power within me to do it. Like if something feels right for me at my core, at my soul, there is courage there that I can tap into. There's that strength, that power that's going to come from within and allow me to move forward, to take that next step, to do that hard inner work, to deal with stuff I was supposed to let go of. That to me is what courage has meant in my life.
What advice would you give someone who was listening to the show and possibly just on that, that toggle of like, do I stay or do I go? Right? What would you say to them?
I say first and foremost, like Loretta, you always say, I would say go within, and take some time, take however much time you want, but go within, and there is wisdom there, and explore that. It could be an hour a day after you meditate and you just ask yourself hard questions. That's what I did for about 2 weeks. I would just meditate. And after my meditation, I would just I'd go on a long walk and I'd ask myself questions like, what am I supposed to do? What's my purpose? Why am I here? Just big questions. And I just sat with it. And I also knew on the other side of that is the paralysis and the fear.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not going to be here for 20 years trying to figure this out, Sibyl. But like, I'm going to give you the space and time. And, you know, a couple weeks, 3 weeks is enough to really start getting some insight in terms of, okay, what is my best next step? Or the question I always ask myself, what is my highest and best response in this moment? You can answer that. I didn't have all of the steps. You may not have all of the steps, but you can answer that question. And I do think that it makes sense if you're thinking, okay, am I going to quit my job? Am I going to make some huge life change? To then think about some of the practical questions and answers as well. I thought about that, like my finances, are they strong enough? My savings, do I maybe want to sit 3 more months before I actually do this? Again, I knew the answer wasn't going to change at the end about what I was going to do, but I was willing to also be thoughtful about, you know, how much risk do I want to take on? Because I knew I was going to be working through other fears and doubts as well. And I'm like, I want to try to set the stage as much as I can. Again, we're not in control and you have to go when you get signs. And when I quit, I wasn't expecting to quit that quickly because I had to listen to the sign. And so that's why the first step I would say is always go within.
I love what you said. So many times, you know, we take a poll and we contact everyone we know and we say, what do you think about this? Should I do this? And our friends love us, but our guidance does come from inside. And I also love what you said about taking a little bit of time and then go walk in nature. I think nature is the great healer. Nature is constant and consistent, and you know, as weird as it sounds, lean against a tree or take a breath or something. And then, you know, that beautiful question, what's the highest and best response right now? I think is something along the lines of what you said is such a great question. And then just keep, you know, and then step away from it and then come back and step away and come back. And people will discover that there's a theme, especially if you jot it down somewhere and you go back and you go, I keep saying the same thing.
Right. No, jotting it down is key, and journaling. You're so right, Loretta.
Yeah.
And then too, what would happen for me is then other people would say things that maybe I wasn't asking them a direct question about what I should do, but they would say something, and within the seed of what they said I'm like, oh, that's confirmation I'm doing the right thing. Yeah. Or I'd see something and that's confirmation I'm doing the right thing. Or I'd read a book because I was reading spiritual books and there'd be text in there that's like, it's time to go. I think you'll see as well that there'll be little signs, as long as you're paying attention, that will pop up, believe it or not, in your days, in your conversations, in what you're reading and what you're doing.
I loved your sign on the wall so much because I actually got a sign on the wall too, which is hysterical. Yeah, because I had all these signs and I'm like, no. And then I walked in, there's this huge sign, and I don't actually even remember what it said. I just remember going, oh, there's a sign right there. Right?
You're like, okay, this is obvious.
Yeah, but I encourage people to look for those signs because they will come. Mm-hmm. Now, you did several things, and then I want to get to the part of our program about the inner MBA program, right? But you did the possibility of today, and you did the Ripple Agency, and you ended up at Sounds True. So fill us in and then take us straight into that inner MBA program, because it's real meaty, and I want people to know.
Yes. Well, in many ways, they're all linked, because I'm still, part of my journey was, as I said, what's my highest and best response in this moment today? Hence was born the possibility of today. And so I started really thinking about that, journaling on it, reflecting on it. And that is when I created the possibility of today, and that community of people who also felt the same way, going through those same challenges. And we were going through it and continue to go through them together. And that led me to being able to create this social good agency, which is Ripple, and then to find my way finally to what I consider my home, and that is Sounds True. And again, it was just one of those situations where step by step, moment by moment, day by day, you're led to where you belong. And for me, I was driving in the car on an interview when I was looking at Sounds True, and Sounds True is looking at me. Are we going to take her? And with Tammy Simon, the CEO and founder of Sounds True. And I'm just overwhelmed because I'm seeing how, I was going to come into Sounds True at that time. Tammy told me I was going to be working with Eckhart Tolle, mostly spending most of my time there on the Eckhart Tolle business. Also working with all of these other amazing authors, Jack Kornfield, Tara Brach. I mean, the list goes on and on. All these people I had read and learned from. And she's like, it was just all overwhelming because then I could see everything I had done in business and marketing. And even the law was going to help me be able to amplify their teachings and the reach. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so overwhelmed. And I was explaining this to her and she's like, you're having a destiny moment. And I'm like, what's a destiny moment? And she's like, there's a moment in time where something comes up and like everything you've been preparing for, it all comes to like a head in one moment. And you have a decision, like, are you going to go right or are you going to go left? And for Tammy and I'm like, are we going to do this thing together? Am I going to come in and be a part of Sounds True? And she's like, you're having a destiny moment. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. This is why it feels so overwhelming for me. And obviously that destiny moment led to so many awesome things because I joined Sounds True. They had me and I've been able to work really closely with Tammy Simon, who is at the foundation of this program, the Inner MBA. And it was her idea. She had this impulse on a long walk, Loretta, as you were saying, that, she wanted to really pass along all of the wisdom and everything that she had learned from working with the greatest wisdom teachers, the greatest conscious business leaders, the greatest neuroscientists. And how do you actually embody that in your job, in your career, in a business, right? This isn't something you learn in a traditional business school, but she knew that the 36 years plus of Sounds True was created because of the ability for Tammy and the employees and the team and the family at Sounds True to really lean into like the inner side of business and complementing that with the outer side. So not just about what we're doing every day, what we're creating, what we're bringing into the world, the programs we're launching, but also what's happening within us from an inner standpoint. How are we living what we're selling? How are we practicing that in meetings and in emails and like showing up for each other? And it created the situation where she's like, we should put this in a program and we'll bring all the best conscious business leaders, the top CEOs who are living this, like Eileen Fisher, like Rose Macario from Patagonia. We'll bring like Dan Goleman, the best authors who are in emotional intelligence. We'll complement that with all these trainers from Harvard and from Columbia and all these business schools that have really figured out this inner mastery. And we'll put this in a program and we'll teach it. We'll share it with the world. And then we were like, what are we going to call it? And that was like, we're like, go Tammy, go on another walk. And so she went on another walk. I mean, and the name took forever because we just really wanted to honor the experience that we were going to be cultivating within this program that we knew was going to be so powerful. And we changed. And I'll never forget one day, Tammy called me, she's like, I got it. And she's like, Inner MBA. And I'm like, oh, that's it. So Sounds True has created the Inner MBA. We were aligned with the universe. And also, in all honesty, I think at the right moment in time to really shepherd what the universe wanted to bring into the world in terms of new leadership. We are at this time that we say is like conscious business is rising. And then that means, though, that there are new capacities and skills and things that we have to do differently and learn from people who have been practicing it and doing it and understand, okay, this is how I actually integrate this practically at work, in my emails, in my meetings, in my conversations. This is how I build deep relationships. this is how I sit in the moment, maybe if I'm an entrepreneur, and go for what I want, because I can now build this capacity. You know, goodness, I wouldn't have given anything for this program when I quit my job and was trying to find my way into my new whatever was going to unfold, to know that, oh, okay, this is a practical way I can go about it, because there's so much uncertainty that I need to make my way through. And that's the inner MBA.
I just love that so much. I'm a strong empath and a woo-woo girl, and I can feel the richness of this program and also the timeliness of it. Mm-hmm. It's very timely. Like we were talking about, so many people right now are trying to find their way. And I'm sort of the mind that perhaps they just need to do what they're doing in a different way. And maybe this inner MBA will bring to them that richness that they're looking for, that can not only change their job or their offering or their business, right, but the way they show up in the world. So this is a 9-month program.
Mm-hmm. It is. And I mean, to that point, you know, what we've seen with this class, because we have our inaugural class of students that'll be graduating actually in just a couple of days. And it's been a combination of people from corporate America, you know, that are potentially trying to find their way through corporate America or find their way out of corporate America, but like from Google and LinkedIn and Verizon, just really traditional corporations. But then that's complemented by a lot of entrepreneurs, like social entrepreneurs in the social good space, the social enterprise and social innovation space, healers, life coaches, you know, people who are just, I want to figure it out. I want to write a book. I want to figure out how to do this conscious business. That's actually the beauty of the diversity of the class and the network. And so what I've been able to see with the students over this time is just the strong bonds that have formed from going through this 9-month experience together. And we created the infrastructure, obviously, and the curriculum is spectacular, and the training. And, you know, we really just threw everything we could into the experience of the program. And then we created the infrastructure so people could connect. And so like those small group connections where folks are going off on their own and connecting with people that they wouldn't have met but for being in the inner MBA. There's a large international class. That is also just something that has meant so much to me, to be able to see what we have been able to create, because they're going to be able to take these teachings, the things they've learned, the relationships they've built, and then go in the world and like make new things and live their purpose and spread conscious business. Like, so creating the infrastructure for all that to happen in this program has been, you know, and I'm just one on the team of many, many people, it sounds sure, behind this, but we have just felt so honored to be able to be of service to this program, Inner MBA. So
this program is virtual.
It is an online program, and it kicks off with an immersion program, an event in the beginning, and then another event at the end, graduation. And then throughout the time, the 9 months, students come online together for the teachings from the students and the faculty and the CEOs who are answering questions. And they also go into small groups if they elect to. Many do, to go through the program and the curriculum together so that they're learning, staying on track, holding each other accountable. And that encompasses, though, the entire 9 months of the program.
And it's also my understanding that, you know, you can listen to this as you have time. And what is a time commitment? You know, because people are
busy, right? We're all busy. Yeah. I get it. Yes. Especially all of our, you know, folks who are like deep in corporate America. They're like, how long is this going to take? But the curriculum is everything. There are live sessions, but you can replay them. A lot of the curriculum is recorded. It's about 1 to 2 hours a week. It's very achievable. And again, you could go as much as you want. You know, if you're like, hey, I want to do deep dive. Quite honestly, when I quit my job, I'd been like, I'm deep diving this, like, give me 8 hours a day. There's plenty of content there, but you can really get the substance and the experience of the program in just about 1 to 2 hours a week.
Good. That's a really good thing to know. The people going through this are learning all kinds of things, right? Obviously, when they're done with this, they get a certificate or something. How is
Right.
that going to
Yes.
benefit them? Yeah.
Right, absolutely. Because we've been seeing little on resumes now, people are like inner MBA graduate, and super great because we've been able to partner with LinkedIn, Wisdom 2.0, and Mindful NYU. And so at the end of the program, you'll get a certificate of completion that you've completed the inner MBA. And that is something that you can include on your resume and share with people. And we're seeing that as more and more graduates are coming out of the inner MBA, people are onboarding it in their corporations, that it's beginning to be even more and more recognized. Oh, like, oh, you went through that inner MBA program.
So this program is really for anybody and everybody, and your graduates are all different, come from all different walks of life.
Mm-hmm. I would say anyone who like feels like you have a gift or talent or purpose to bring into the world, you enjoy conscious business, you really want to take some time to think about, okay, how do I bring my life and bring my ideas to life differently, or in a way where I'm sitting and using my intuition. I'm really aligning with how I can serve. I'm aligning with the like-minded people who are also on this mission. That would be what I would say those people would really, really benefit from this program.
I love this this term, conscious business.
Mm-hmm.
Conscious business. Can you talk about that just a little bit?
Yes. I mean, I think as you were saying, Loretta, there's just been this transformation. We're at this different moment in time. And I believe that, and I'm not the only one, this isn't my theory, but that we're also at a point where business and the way we go about it needs to elevate and transform too. And we've seen a breakdown of so many systems in the old way. And so now we need this new way to emerge. And that is where we're more thoughtful and conscious about the way we go about business. We're thinking about all of the different bottom lines. We're thinking about the footprint that we have on the environment. We're thinking about conscious leadership and how we grow within an organization while we're working. Just many, many more dimensions to business than what we first would have believed when we kind of started off this whole business route, many, many years ago.
I really believe this is the way that businesses have to go. I don't think it's an option because we are in that time. Like I said, the age of Aquarius is about the understanding of the unique value of each individual in community, right? So we each bring our gifts or our abilities to the community, and that lifts everybody up.
Absolutely.
And there's a sense of purpose in this too, which I think ties into your whole life story. And then you here with the inner MBA, it sounds true. It's just like, yeah, total destiny. Duh.
You're my sign for today, Loretta. You're my sign. Thank you.
I'm
Thank
like,
you.
Like, like
yes.
neon light over here. Yeah.
Yes.
It fits together so very, very well. So where can people find out more about this?
They can visit innermbasoundstrue.com and you'll find out all the information you need there about the program, all the details, the specifics, and you can also go by soundstrue.com and find it there as well.
Yeah, it's easy to find. And also you still have, the possibility of today up for you personally.
I do.
And the Ripple Agency, those are still going.
Yes, and the possibilitarians at Possibility Today will be, many of which will be in the Inner MBA program with us. But yes, all of that. And that's the beauty, I think, of Conscious Business Rising is we get to serve our purpose in the ways that feel right for us. And sometimes for those of us who are, like I categorize myself as social business entrepreneur, we like, multiple ways to express that for that purpose, for my purpose to really come to life fully.
So what are the qualities of a leader, and how does this inner MBA teach that to its students?
I think there's many qualities of the leader. The one that I have found that I feel is the most important is what we've been talking about right here. And that is the ability to really tune in to yourself, to your intuition, to the wisdom and power and love that's always flowing through you. And if you do that, to me, you're a dynamic leader, because you're going to have the conversations that you need to. You're going to come up with the ideas that you're supposed to. You're going to have the confidence and faith that you need to lead a team, that, oh, yes, we are going to hit this goal. Things are going to fall into place. And so, again, it all falls to this capacity of, really understanding, this is who I am. This is why I'm here. This is my purpose. And that all comes from right in here.
Yeah, from that alignment. I have been saying a lot to my clients, where do you want to be 1 year from today? Because if you don't do anything different, you're going to be right where you're at 1 year from today, and even maybe worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I really recommend people just take a look at that inner MBA, take a look at what Sounds True offers, take a look at what Sibyl Chavis is offering. And what are your last word? We're down to like 30 seconds.
I think just tune in, go within, trust your inner guidance, get closer and closer to it. Use it every moment of the day, sit in it, rest. That's what it's about.
Follow that inner light. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Sibyl. It was wonderful to have you on the show. I loved it so much. Thanks for breathing into your heart with me. And to my listeners, have a great, great week. And wow, it's time to do something different, don't you think?
Absolutely.